Hello, welcome to the Omniverse Bookworm. My name is Lauren, and in today's video, I wanted to do a video about when and why I would DNF a book. I really love to see these videos by other people because it's one of those things that I struggle with. I used to be quite the completionist, and I realized that I was just making myself miserable. So I have my system now of when and why I would DNF a book. So these are sort of my not really rules, but things that I keep in mind. I don't always follow my own rules, but this is like my ideal of what I should do in order to, if I'm not jiving with the book, to just go on to the next one that I might like more. So usually when I'm reading and if I'm thinking about DNFing, I would think about if I'm going to DNF for now or if I'm going to DNF forever. Normally, I would just DNF for now. That might turn into forever, but in my mind, it's like, okay, this is just for now. And the way that I would think about it is like, okay, if I DNF this book, and 3 months from now or 2 months from now, if I'm still thinking about it, then I should read it. Like there was enough there or was something about it that like kept me interested. If I never really think about it again or I'm never really interested in picking that book up again, then it will just kind of go on and on. The only time I would ever DNF a book forever is if I just feel like something just really happened either in the book or with the author or just something that was just so huge that I just can't get on board with it. Or if it's a series that just keeps going and going and going and I've DNF'd at book 2 and now we're at book 7 or whatever, and it's just like, oh, if I didn't really enjoy the beginning, like I definitely don't want to like get back into this whole series. So that's sort of how I think about it. So if I'm going to DNF at under 10%, and obviously I feel like most people will think this too, the longer the book is, I think the more you have to think about whether you want to DNF it or not. If it's a shorter book, then you can kind of push through a little bit easier. So if it's less than 10% and I'm going to DNF the book, my reason would be just, number one is writing style. Some writers, their writing style is just either like too much purple prose, or it's different if it's an audiobook, but I really hate when an author like writes phonetically for characters a lot. It's okay if they do it for like a word here, a word there, or like occasionally to give you the flavor. But if I'm having to like learn how to like decode another language, basically, that's how it feels like. 'Cause it's like, English isn't phonetic anyway, so I don't want to have to do that. Then that really irritates me. Or just like I said, purple prose, or yeah, just something about the writing style that is just not working with me, because obviously that's going to go for the whole book, and that's not fun if it's not a writing style that you can get on board with. The second reason that I would DNF at less than 10% or around 10% would be if the author, this would be more in fiction because nonfiction is a little bit different, if the author has like an obvious agenda, like something that they're just trying to shove down your throat, and it doesn't matter whether I agree with it or not. Like it could be something that I completely like am on board with, but if it just feels like that they're just trying at everything to be like, see, you need to do this or you need to think like this, it just doesn't make an interesting story. Like trying to think of a good example. I think a lot of inspirational books might fall into this category where it's like, everybody's being converted or something. And it has nothing to do like against anybody's religion. It's just like not so interesting to read that. Or it could be the opposite. It's like if every other page they're talking about how horrible religion, like it doesn't matter what the thing is. It's just if I feel like they're trying to like push it on you and not, instead of telling the story, or as a main vehicle for telling the story, then that will really put me off, and I don't like that at all. And then I put this for number 3, which is just kind of a catch-all, but just overall problems that are unlikely to be overcome. This could be like a ton of typos on every page, or I don't know, sometimes it's just something weird, something that I just can't get past, like a character, like if all the characters like kind of have the same name and I just can't figure out who's who. So it could be something simple like that, but it's just to the point where the story is not interesting and there's some problem that's like I'm getting stuck, basically. All right, so then so that's like around 10%, like about that. Let's say about that. Depends on the book, obviously. All right, so if I'm going to DNF at 10 to 50%, and this is usually where I'll DNF. Well, sometimes I'll DNF at about 10%. But I will say usually I keep pushing and pushing. Like I kind of know I should, but then I just keep going. um, if I'm going to DNF between 10 and 50%, it's usually because there's a huge character flaw that is unlikely to be overcome. I don't mean a character flaw like they have flaws, like obviously that's good, but just something I don't like about the character, like Holden Caulfield, for example, in Catcher in the Rye, which was a book that I didn't really enjoy. His personality, he just irritated me. If I had been reading that for fun, I probably would have DNF'd it, but I had to read it for school when I read it. I'm trying to think of another one that's really popular. Just characters that they're just irritating. You don't like them. You just don't want to spend time with them. I think that's what it comes down to. It's like the person at the family reunion that you're trying to like avoid because they keep talking about something you don't want to talk about. The next reason will be like a huge plot point that's unlikely to be overcome. So if I can see that like two people are getting together and I don't like it, or just something has happened that's just completely unrealistic and there's nothing else redeeming about the book, because I can look past a lot of things, but if other stuff keeps happening, probably not gonna keep going. Also, like if I'm just like dreading to read the book, like if I'm not interested to read it and I'm reading for fun, that's a big red flag that I should just DNF it. Like I mean, there's some books where you can kind of feel like you have to push a little bit. Like right now I'm reading Mysteries of Udolpho by Anne Radcliffe, which is an older book and it's really long. And I kind of don't always want to read it, but the reason I'm reading it is more because of its historical significance. And there are other things about the book that I do enjoy. So that's a little bit different. But if it's something like a mystery, a thriller, romance, anything where, I'm really just doing it for fun, if I don't want to read it, then why? What's the point? And the last one I have is I'm not in the mood. Like, sometimes you just, like, I really love historical books. I love, these sweeping, like, multi-generational historical books. That I really get into a lot of those kind of books. But you also have to be in the right mindset. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I can't get into it if it's a serious subject matter. And it's just something that right now I just want to read a little, I don't know, vampire, like cozy mystery or whatever. I haven't read any vampire cozy mysteries, but it's just like something a little bit silly or off the wall or something to kind of, be interesting but turn my brain off a little bit. Sometimes I'll just put it down and say, maybe next month or maybe later. Okay, so if I get to 50%, I'll usually push through. If it's a big tome, maybe not. But if I can get to the 50% mark, I will probably finish the book. Unless I'm extremely bored. Like if I've pushed through, but I'm just like, oh, I've ignored all these red flags. I'm still bored. This is a long book. This is really boring. It's not changing. I'll probably DNF it for now. If the plot has taken a different turn, or if something has happened that to me is offensive, like they're stereotyping some group of people. If, something has happened, I don't know, just historically, if we're like acting like colonialism was okay, or, something like that, where I'm just like, no, 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 I'm not doing that. If the characters are just like getting to the point, again, this is like from the other one, but if they're just being so annoying, so bad, they're just doing things that, it's not that I have to like what they're doing, but if I don't find them interesting, like I might DNF it, especially if it's a longer book. The one thing, so the last thing that could make me DNF, and I should do this more than I do because I usually regret it, is there's like extreme body horror, extreme violence, things that are being described in a lot of graphic detail that are not necessary for the plot. I just don't like it. And actually, like, there have been times, and I don't know if it's because I'm visually impaired or if it's just my personality, but like I can watch a movie that has blood or whatever, and I think partially that's because like sorry, there's a fuzzy. Okay. Partially that's because like I can't see color, so the blood doesn't bother me. But if I'm reading about it and I'm reading about the person being in pain or something happened, like if somebody's describing something, like I can almost pass out sometimes, like because it gets in my brain and I feel like it's happening because I get so into the book. So I think I'm a dork, but so if that starts to happen and it's not necessary for the plot, then I'll probably DNF it. I read the Earthsea duology, which I did videos for, and that, even though a lot of like really graphic stuff was happening, it didn't bother me as much because there was a reason for it. And Octavia Butler did a really good job of not going into super like a lot of detail, except maybe in like one or two places, and when she would do it, it would be for a very short time. um and she was really smart about that, and so I was able to read that. But if it just seems like overkill and not necessary, and we have pages and pages, and I guess that's why I tend to not enjoy like military or battle scenes, like if people's arms are being lopped off, like no, no, thank you. I don't want that. So those are my reasons that I would DNF a book and at different places. Let me know, do you have any trouble with DNFing? Are you a completionist? Do you think it's good to DNF? And what are some of your like major reasons that you would decide to DNF a book? So let me know down below. Please like and subscribe because I'm a new channel and it makes me so happy when I see new subscribers. So thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.